Hey Steam Deck fans, guess what? The new Steam Controller 2 may be coming sooner than we think because it's been basically leaked thanks to a data miner who discovered the new Triton codename in a new Steam update, and we're going to be covering it in this video. Now, first of all, before we do anything though, I'm Blaze. Welcome to the channel. Consider liking, subscribing, and clicking the bell icon if you love handheld gaming in the Steam Deck. I do. Hopefully you do too. And if you could like and subscribe, it would mean the world and help us reach 100,000 subscribers, and we can maybe do a giveaway. Anyways, let's talk about this update. So, new Steam Deck controller. Now, I think this has been, the writing's been on the wall for a long time. We've all been wanting an official Steam Deck controller, a Steam controller essentially to play, you know, dock your Steam Deck up to the TV with and play, you know, play wirelessly with. And we finally got it. Now, obviously, we had the original Steam controller, which I think was great, but they did focus heavily on the touchpads. And while the touchpads, there is a community for them, and there's a community that loves them and will use them exclusively, especially with shooter games. For me personally, I wasn't a fan of the touchpads. I don't use them on the Steam Deck much at all, but obviously the original Steam controller only had one thumbstick, and that was on the left. Well, the new one, as you can see here, is probably going to be much more like this one. It's going to have two thumbsticks. It's going to have touchpads at either side because, you know, they're going to stick to that touchpad layout. Because let's be honest, touchpads are fantastic for navigating the UI. They're fantastic for navigating desktop mode. If you have a Steam Deck, you'll know. They make a huge difference. And this is coming from someone who's tried a bunch of different Windows handhelds and who've had to use the thumbsticks to navigate the pointer around the system. It's a pain in the butt. So touchpads just make that all easier. So I'm glad that they're keeping the touchpads, and I'm glad, more importantly, that they're adding a second stick. So let's take a look and see what the article says here. So Valve is seemingly working on an upgraded version of a Steam controller likely to be bundled with the in-development SteamOS console. Following the successful release of the Steam Deck handheld in 2022, let's be honest, that was a massive rearing success for Valve. Basically, fans have been begging and asking Valve for a dedicated Steam controller, very similar to the Steam Deck inputs. Well, that's finally seeming to happen because it's leaked obviously in this new Steam update, which is interesting. And it's the reason why they're doing it now, I think, is because they're working on a home console that you could pair under the TV, basically a Steam Deck in a box essentially, and they're going to need a controller to pair with that. And I think the Steam controller, the new Steam controller 2, is like the perfect thing for that. For navigating SteamOS, it's already proven itself. For navigating desktop mode and tinkering and installing sort of applications and emulators and stuff like that. Stuff you have to do in desktop mode. You know, the touchpads are invaluable, and they've just been a great help. And when I play a handheld that doesn't have a touchpad, it's annoying, but, you know, it's what it is. But yeah, in the files for the latest Steam update, data miners discovered new icons for alleged Steam Controller 2. The new controller shows two touchpads beneath a single analog stick and a D-pad. However, this is a minimalist icon, not meant to convey every freaking input or button on the controller, explained popular Valve leaker. Sadly, it's Bradley. So here is the leak. This is the leak icon, Brad Lynch. He says, oh, it's a cute little Ibex Steam Controller 2. So this is the icon that made it into the back end. So clearly, this is different than the Steam Controller 1. I mean, they've got the touchpads on the bottom for a start. They've got the stick on the left, to upper left. They don't have a second stick. But I think as far as like UI is concerned, for an icon like this, I don't think you would have been able to fit a second stick up there and have it at least look symmetrical. So I understand why they've simplified it, but we're getting a basic overview of the new Steam Controller 2, which I think is super sick. Remember, it will look more like this. The SVG leaked tonight is a minimalist icon, not meant to convey every freaking input or button on the controller. Someone says, wait, it only has one stick? Fascinating. You could technically emulate a joystick with a trackpad, but I imagine it feeling on. If they were only going to do one stick, again, that would be a disappointment, because at that point, you know, why not just get a Steam Controller 1 at that point, right? But yeah, I think it's going to have that second stick. But it's interesting though that we're seeing an official sort of leak per se of the new controller, and the fact that they're building it into their UI now, because they're going to be taking this seriously if they've done that. So I'm assuming this new little Steambox PC thing is going to be coming out sooner rather than later, and I'm super hyped for it. I mean, granted, listen, I wouldn't jump on this Steam box personally, because to me, I'd rather just dock my Steam Deck to the TV, call it a day, and buy like a bunch of different docks. Talking of which, if you want my dock suggestion, JSOX 12-in-1 RGB is the best dock you can get hands down. Go check it out, links down below. But yeah, I'm glad we finally got a first look at the new Steam Deck, or Steam OS, or Steam 2 controller, Steam Controller 2. While not confirmed, the controller is also expected to keep the same feature set of the current Steam Deck. This would mean that the Steam Controller 2, or whatever Valve ends up calling it, will also have access to gyro controls, as well as rear additional buttons for even more inputs. As someone who used the Steam Controller and quite liked it, this upgrade seems like a smart one. The single stick of Valve's original option was cumbersome. As someone who didn't, and still doesn't, get on well using a touchpad for right stick aiming. If this leak is to be believed, the Steam Controller 2 will take everything good about the Steam Deck's controls and put them in a nifty single device. Unfortunately, it will likely be a while until we actually get our hands on the new controller. Valve is always secretive, of course, but the new controller is likely set to be revealed alongside the new SteamOS console, which is assumed to be called Steam Frame whenever that actually happens. So, super cool update. One thing I'm hoping that they don't bring over to the new Steam controller is the sticky buttons. I don't know if you've had this issue with the Steam Deck, but typically when I'm pressing B and I'm pressing playing a lot of platform games and I'm pressing B multiple times, it does have the tendency to catch on the shell. And I've got the limited edition transparent sort of frosted one, and it's still happening with that. It was an issue on my original LCD Steam Deck. It's an issue on this new limited edition OLED one. Yeah, I'm just hoping they don't curve the controller down around the B button, because I think that was a mistake with the Steam Deck. Anyways, I'm Blaze. I'll see you in the next one. Apologies for the rambly video. I've just woken up. I'm still drinking my coffee. But yeah, have a great day. Peace out.